Hey everybody, chapter 18, lesson 2, we're taking a look at here today the women's rights movement, or as it's often called, the feminist movement. And the feminist movement, or the popular feminist movement, its goal is threefold, and you can see it here just above my finger. We're looking for economic opportunity, as I have highlighted there in the red. We're looking for educational opportunity, as you can see in the blue, and we're looking for less discrimination, as you can see in the green. And when you kind of connect all of these things together, then what we're going to end up with is what we have circled right here, right, in red, which is greater impact on society overall, because women have more opportunity economically and educationally, and they're facing less discrimination in their lives, which allows them to make a greater opportunity on American society as a whole. There will still be divisions, and we'll see those divisions as we go, divisions over things like abortion and other issues like the Equal Rights Amendment, but for the most part, the goal of the feminist movement, that we'll take a look at here in today's lesson, is to provide women and American society as a result with a greater impact that comes with more equality in general. So we want to go back in time to the 1950s because we know that the 1950s was a time of conformity, and we talked about that with the way jobs and companies handled their workers in the 1950s and how America really was still just beginning to resist the civil rights movement because they didn't want that kind of craziness, right? They wanted conformity. But what's amazing is that in the 1950s, the number of women, and I'll move my head out of the way here, the number of women who were in the workforce definitely increased between 1950 and 1960, and you can see that here, and I'll highlight that here for you in red, right? Here's 1950 right here, and then it runs all the way up to 1960. So in a time of conformity, when we want to see women not changing their roles, right? Stay in the kitchen and make me a sandwich, right? We're seeing more and more women moving into the workforce in the 1950s. So there's something going on here in the 1950s in American society that's going to lead to this feminist movement that will appear. And part of what we're going to see with this is going to be the number of women in the workforce will continue to rise decade after decade after decade until, as you can see right over here, the number is going to be nearly 50%, almost double of what we'll see back in 1950. And so what we have as more and more women enter the workforce is going to be more and more women that are looking for a fair shot in the workforce. They want, as I had highlighted here in red, more economic opportunity. The problem is, as the 1950s fall into the 1960s, women aren't getting it because the world that they're operating in is still dominated by men. Everything is separated, not just by color, as you might see in the South with segregation, but in the North and South alike, by gender, by your actual sex, and what, whether that's banks denying women credit, whether it is women being paid less for the same job as men. Women are being shut out of high-paying, prestigious positions. Because even though we see by the 1960s about half of American women working at least part-time, we're going to see them not getting the excellent jobs. I mean, take a look here, right? We have a programmer, a computer programmer. That's a big deal in the 1960s, right? Something that we definitely want to take a look at, right? But what we have to see here is, oh wait, what's that at the top, right? If you look at this article itself, right, the advertisement is great. It advertises for a candidate that is going to have this awesome job. But look, it's help wanted for males. Certainly not providing any opportunity for women. And this kind of segregated job market remarkably still lingers even today. So here, for example, here is a job ad that was posted on LinkedIn, which is a career networking site. It's a social networking site for people looking for jobs. And this was posted just in 2015. And look what I have down here that's highlighted. And this was pointed out by a social media blogger who noticed on Twitter that this is what was going on LinkedIn. And this position requires filling in the responsibilities of a receptionist. So female candidates are preferred, right? Because we want women in those female positions of receptionists, a traditional job for women, right? And how about the guys, right, that might want this job for whatever reason? Maybe you're a part-time worker because you're a stay-at-home dad for part of the time, and maybe this is a gig that would be good for you. Well, they prefer a woman, so you're not getting it either, right? This is sexism in general, where you prefer one sex, male or female, over another. And the goal of the women's movement, whether it is back in 1950 or 1960, or even today, the goal is to say it's not about preferring a woman over a man or a man over a woman. It's about having gender equality. So even when you see things like this ad for Aldi, the grocery store, right? Here's a job wanted ad for Aldi, just posted recently, but every word there that's blocked in this job ad, and it's for a manager of a store, by the way, it just says his duties, his employees, his manager responsibilities, his. Well, what kind of candidate do they want? Right? I mean, if all you're writing is his, you clearly want a certain kind of candidate. And don't tell me that maybe it was just a mistake. Even if it was just a mistake, that tells you that someone at Aldi who was writing that job ad wasn't thinking about this in terms that said we are open to both equally, or else you would have taken the time to be deliberate about how you posted an ad online. This kind of thing, this kind of anger grows, and it's the kernel of the feminist movement, the women's movement of the 1950s and 60s, this anger over what kind of economic opportunity women have. And JFK actually realizes this. That's why JFK, and I'm going to put my pointer on it right now, that's why JFK creates a President's Commission on the Status of Women to figure out what's going on. That's why he puts a famous woman in charge, Eleanor Roosevelt, a woman that men and women alike respect. And it shows these kinds of problems that women faced in the workplace. And with these kind of problems emerging, what we'll see here is that women are going to begin to fight back again.